Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Find Your Soul show. This is Pip Coleman, and we are continuing our conversation this week about being curious. A curious soul, that is what we want to be in our lifetime. This is what we want to aspire to. This is what we want to give ourselves permission to be. And curiosity helps us to tap into our imagination, helps us to tap into being creative. And this week we're going to talk a little bit about relationships, all of our relationships. So relationships with family, relationships with our parents, relationships with our partners. Because this week I wanted to talk a little bit around getting creative in terms of your communication with your loved ones. And so that means you need to be curious. That means you need to tap into that whole energy of being, wondering why, asking why is this person behaving in this way? Or why has this person said this thing? Or why have I said this thing? Why have I gotten triggered by this particular situation? So, good morning to you. Say hello from wherever it is that you're coming in, and we look forward to having a chat. Let's have a chat about relationships and getting creative. So I'm just going to open up let's open up and make sure that I can see your comments, because sometimes we can't see. Okay, so awesome. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know as we go along, and I should be able to see your chat. So the first thing that was really interesting this morning, because I decided that I wanted to talk about getting creative in terms of relationships, the meditation that I listened to this morning on the Calm app was called conflict resolution. And it was just a little 10-minute, journey. In each morning they do a little 10-minute meditation, and I've been tapping into these little meditations because I thought they're kind of helpful to just start the day and think about things in a different way. So this morning they were talking about conflict resolution and about how to listen first to understand what the other person is trying to say, and then be listened to yourself. And that is actually a Stephen Covey from his quote, listen to be understood first, and then seek to listen to be understood. And I think that is at the crux of being curious, isn't it? Because if you understand what somebody else is saying, then properly understand what someone else is saying, you can have a conversation that is very different than if you assume that you know what the person is talking about, or that you think that they're talking about something that you were talking about yesterday. The whole concept of asking them why, what's up, where are you coming from with that question or that statement, helps us and helps them to clarify what we're actually talking about. Because how many times have you been in a conversation and you go down this whole path of I don't know what you mean by that, blah, 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 and you sort of start talking, and then they go, hey, I didn't mean that, I meant blah, whatever. And you've had this whole argument, conversation, discussion that was just for no reason. You didn't really need to have that conversation, and started some sort of, strange down the rabbit hole thing that didn't need to be started. Whereas if you said at the beginning, what do you mean by that? And I don't mean say, what do you mean by that? I mean, you would go, okay, that's interesting. What do you actually mean by that? Why have you asked me that question in that moment? Or, how come this is coming up for you today? Those sorts of questions, being genuinely that's a hard word to say, genuinely curious is not an easy thing to do, because we have all of this stuff from previous relationships, from the way that we've been brought up, all that baggage, as they call it, that we get triggered before we've even realized it. We have an emotional response and we go down the rabbit hole, and that person might not have even meant, in fact, most of the time they don't mean what you think they mean in your head. And you've gone down the path of having conflict or an issue. So what I wanted to do today is to just remind you to ask why. And before you ask why, take a minute to take a breath and notice what's happening in your body. If you are being triggered, you'll know, because your heart rate will start to increase, and you'll start to go into this like, oh, blah. Like, well, they're probably blah, 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 blah. And that usually means that you've been triggered by something and you're not actually understanding or checking in with the person first. So first thing is take a breath. Second thing is to, if you need to, after you've realized where you are emotionally, if you need to, you might need to remove yourself from the room for a minute or two, maybe go to the bathroom. And we're going to do a little tapping exercise today on letting go of relationship baggage, so that you can start that process. You might go to the bathroom and do a little bit of tapping on how you're feeling and what's coming up for you, so that you can calm yourself before you start having the conversation with the person, whoever that person might be. And the important thing here today that I wanted to mention is to give yourself permission to be creative. Give yourself a permission slip to do things your way and do your relationships in a different way than your parents did them, than your grandparents did them, than your friends do them. Your relationships can be completely your own making. You don't have to do things the way that everybody else has done them in your family. And sometimes when I get triggered, I notice that I'm going into that space of, that's what my mum says, or that's what my dad says, or that's what my grandparents used to do. Like that you can feel yourself going into that space of just automatic mode. And that's where mindfulness comes in. That's where being in your space right now, in this moment, and recognizing who you are and how you want to be in relationships, no matter what relationship we're talking about, you can actually come back to that space of centeredness and alignment. And if you're not sure how to do that and you need some tools and skills, then that's something that I can teach you. And there's a few other people in this, there's lots of people that are in this amazing community that if I'm not the right person, I can refer you to. So reach out and speak to somebody if you feel like you need some more tools and skills. So let's get into letting go of some relationship baggage. Let's do the tapping now, and then we can have a conversation about that. So if you're out there, give me some hearts and let me know if you're there, if you're resonating with what I'm talking about, if this makes sense to you. So the tapping that we're going to do is from the wonderful The Tapping Solution. .com, which is Nick and Jessica Ortner's company, and I'm using their fabulous book called The Tapping Solution. And in here is a short tapping on relationship baggage. And I actually have a longer script as well. So if you would like to get a copy of the script, then let me know. And or if you'd like to if you'd like to do a personal session where we run through the full script together and deal with anything that's coming up for you, then you might like to get in touch with me so that we can actually do some work together. Because sometimes when we're doing relationship stuff, it can bring up emotions, and you might like to have someone who travels on that journey with you. You might like to do that with somebody like a coach or a therapist, so that you're not traveling by yourself and coming up with things that might get you stuck. So let's have a little try. If you've never tried tapping before, we are going to tap on points on the face and the body, and I'll tell you where to tap. And that helps to calm the amygdala, the part of the brain that goes into fight or flight or freeze response. And that allows us to let go, feel and honor our emotions, and get more clarity around whatever the situation is that's triggering us. And since today we're talking about relationships and getting curious and getting creative about relationships and how to deal with them more effectively, I thought that this would be a little bit of a helpful mini script that we can do today. So the first thing is that this is just a really short one, okay? So look out for any specific memories or ideas that might come up, and then you can always tap on those too. That's what I was saying. If you find that you get emotions or ideas that come up during this little mini tapping and you want to do a little bit of a deeper exploration of that, then get in touch with me and we can do that. So first of all, let's just check in with the statement that I've got heaps of relationship baggage. How triggered are you by that statement? I've got heaps of relationship baggage. Are you a 0 out of 10 in terms of belief or discomfort around that statement? Or are you a 10 out of 10 in terms of, like, I really feel that's true. I have lots and lots of baggage. And just make note of that number of where you are right now in terms of your discomfort level with your relationship baggage. And remember, this is any relationships, okay? We're not just, you can think of a particular relationship if you want to, or you can think about all your relationships, because we're just going to touch and see where we're at today. So let's tap on the karate chop point and repeat after me. Take a breath. Just settle into your chair. Tapping on the karate chop point and repeat after me. Even though I've got all this relationship baggage, perhaps I can accept myself anyway. And take a breath. Even though I've gathered all this baggage from all those other relationships, I'm choosing to find a way to put it down. And take another breath. Even though I've been carrying this relationship baggage with me, it sure is getting heavy. I'm just going to acknowledge that that is what I've been doing and accept myself anyway. And take another deep breath. And then tapping on the eyebrow point with 2 fingers, this relationship baggage. Side of the eye, all those old hurts and fears. under the eye, the pain and suffering. Under the nose, all those tears. Chin, I've been gathering all this baggage. Collarbone, carrying it with me into every relationship. Under the arm, as a reminder to keep me safe. Top of the head, but boy, it is getting heavy. And then tapping on the eyebrow point. All these old ghosts and memories. Side of the eye. But what if I could find a way under the eye to put down some of these old bags? Under the nose, I'm ready to travel lighter. Chin, what if I could be curious about this whole relationship thing? Collarbone, I wonder what possibilities would open up. Under the arm, I'm so glad I've decided to put down some of this old baggage. Top of the head, I'm ready to travel lighter. And just take a little moment, take a deep breath, closing the eyes. And just make note of any shifts, any feelings, any memories, any people, any thoughts that might be coming up now. And let's just do a round while you're feeling and thinking those thoughts. Okay, so just moving through the points as you're feeling and thinking those thoughts that have come up throughout that little tapping sequence. Because I don't think there's any way that you can do tapping and not have thoughts and feelings come up. And it's okay. Because now you have a tool. Now you have some way of feeling the feelings, thinking the thoughts, and letting them go. And honouring them and honouring yourself exactly where you are right now. So that you can easily move forward, have the conversations that you need to have, and be with the people that you need to be with, and love the people that you love, and still honour yourself fully and completely. That's good. So just take a note of what your number is now. And when you think about your relationship baggage, are you a 0 or a 10 or a 5? And just compare that to the number when we started this little tapping process. And if your number is still higher than 5, I encourage you to get in touch with me so that I can share with you the script, the longer script, and have a bit of a conversation about how we can shift that number down to a bit of a more comfortable space. Because if you are a 5 or more, then it usually means that there's still more stuff to shift. And you can always listen to this tapping again if you want to go back and listen to the hashtag replay. And hopefully that will help you to get in touch with what's going on in your relationships. The most important thing is that we need to clear the way, and we need to be aware. Be aware that we have stuff, that we all have stuff from the past, that we need to make sure that we are moving through our relationships in a healthy way. And that is what we're talking about. So, couple of resources for you. I just wanted to note that if you are wanting to dive a bit deeper into how to be in relationships a little bit more, then you can look at people like John Gray, who wrote Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. Thanks, Angela. I'm glad you found that helpful. And hi, Samantha. And John has an amazing technique in there called, well, I'm not sure if it's actually in that book, but he has a technique called the soul letters, where you write letters of forgiveness to and from the people that you're in your relationships with. So parents, siblings, ex-partners, current partners, anyone who you feel like you need to forgive. And you write these letters, these soul letters to them, and then they write back to you. It's a really cool process. Something to consider. And if you're interested in that, please let me know. We can book in a session and have a chat about that. And the other person that's really cool who works on relationships is Barbara DeAngelis, who wrote a book called Are You the One for Me? And she wrote an amazing book called The Choice for Love, which is a more recent book of hers. And it talks about coming back to that space of love within yourself so that you can actually move into a space of love in your relationships as well. So we were talking today about getting creative. We're talking about getting curious. And the tapping will help you to take that inquiry a little bit deeper in terms of relationships. And if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Our time has flown as always. Yes, Angela, I can send you the script, no worries at all. And if you'd like to work on it together, we can obviously book in a session as well, which would be amazing. So yeah, it's been really lovely, as always. This week, obviously, we're talking about being curious, getting creative in terms of your relationships. Next week, we're going to talk about health. Health and well-being. So we're going to talk about getting curious about your health, about where you are in terms of being healthy, and the decisions that you make in moving in the direction of being well, being an aligned soul. So curious and aligned. So let yourself be curious. Ask the question why, and ask yourself why if you feel yourself getting triggered, and then you can move in the direction of understanding rather than just reacting to things. So, have a lovely day, have a lovely week. I look forward to seeing you next week for the Find Your Soul show. Take care. Thanks, guys. Bye.